fellows doing? And why do you permit this kind of thing? Why don't you give each one a ball so that they'll stop fighting? But this is a deliberate thing. This is called a sport. But when they actually start fighting, it is no more a sport. These days they are not sports. When you play to win, it is not a sport. When you play to play, it is called sport. These days people play to win. Therefore all kinds of foul practices are there. All kinds of drugs and things are there. And they hurt each other during the game also. Football is a very cruel game, They simply kick you. All kinds of things they do. Football, hockey, all this. Just without any compunction. Because you play to win. This is not a sport. It is samsara. So that very game becomes a samsara that loses the very joy out of it. It remains a joy only when it is a sport. So therefore, for a wise man, this whole vyavahara is a sport, if you want to call it, or a drama, if you want to call it. And the drama, when it is taken to be real, it becomes samsara. So aparoksha jnanena badhitah abhasikritah adhyasah badhita adhyasah. Tasya anuvrittya ityarthah. Then there is anuvritti, meaning there is a continuation of that badhita adhyasa. Therefore, the vyavahara of the wise man also will continue to follow the previous format. If he was talking English language before, he will continue to talk that language. Not that the language will change because now he is become enlightened. And he is walking on two legs, he will continue to do that. If he is eating idli and sambar or parotha, he will continue to do that. Meaning that all of these things do not change. So what sort of wisdom is this? Has not brought about any change in him. Such a change, only change that is brought about is only abhasikaranam of the adhyasa. That's all. Otherwise, the rest of the behavioral pattern, etc., is called anuvritti. Except that formally he must have paratha. And today he may have paratha. Formally he must have had this, otherwise he would be unhappy. And today he may have it. If there is a choice, he may prefer one thing over the other. His ragadveshas are there, but not binding or hurting ragadveshas. Ragadveshas which were fulfilled, also well and good. Not fulfilled, well and good. In case of an ignorant person, ragadveshas fulfilled, harsha. Unfulfilled, shoka. In case of wise man, the fulfillment or unfulfillment of ragadveshas do not in any way affect his present atmaniyeva atmana tushtaha. This is the difference. We must know what is meant by knowledge and what is a wise person. Otherwise we impose all kinds of things upon people and we expect wise people to be walking on their heads and things like that. Then only we call him that. But he must have something unusual in him, that he may have. I mean, everybody, all wise people may have unusual things. But it's not that unusual thing which makes them wise. The wise person may have unusual things in him, is a different thing because of his tapasya and upasana and all kinds of things may be there. But that's not the sign of wisdom. Sign of wisdom is abhasikaranam vadhyasa. There will be other abhushanas. Other alankaras may be there, So other glories may be there, accompanying the wisdom. That is also the nature of wisdom, alright? That it brings glories in its way. That's a different thing. But we are not going to seek those glories ourselves. Forget about somebody else is wise or not. But when you are seeking wisdom, you are not seeking any glories at all. What you are seeking is abhasikaranam of adhyasa. Knowing adhyasa is adhyasa. If the glories have to come in their way, well and good. But what is the criterion of wisdom? That should become very clear to us. अपरोक्ष ज्ञानवतां व्यवहार कारणीभूत अध्यासस्य बाधितत्वं कुत्र प्रतिपाद्यते इति. Where is this said that this badhita adhyasa anuvrittya vyavahara, where is this said? It says samanvaya sūtre dvitiya varnaka iti shesha. In the fourth sutra, samanvaya sutra, dvitiya varnaka, this is there. Says tathacha avarane nivrittebi pita shankha jivat वासनात्मक विक्षेप शक्त्यां च अनुवृत्तेः जीवन मुक्तानां वशिष्ठादीनां व्यवहारः अपि अध्यासजन्यः एव. So avarana is removed, but vikshepa part remains. What is vikshepa? This adhyasa, sense of individuality, remains. Avarana meaning ignorance is gone. Pitaha Shankha. If the eyes can have some problem like this, what do you call it? Jaundice. Then you may see the Shankha is yellow. And similarly also, this adhyasa of the sense of individuality continues. Vasanatmaka vikshep shakyam anuvrittehe. How come after wisdom also the existence of a wise person continues? Because of vikshepa, because of prarabdha, because of what was set into motion earlier. Until that motion is exhausted, until then that individuality continues to function, continues to exist and function. So vasanatmaka vikshep shakyam anuvrittehe. There is vikshep shakyam. There is avarana shakti and vikshep shakti. Even though avarana is removed, that vikshep shakti amsha remains. And there also ignorance doesn't remain. That vikshepa also is not of the nature of rajastamas, only of the nature of that momentum which is there from the previous activities or previous actions. Jivan muktanam vasisthadinam vyavahara api adhyasajanya hai. So Vasishtha and such wise people, they continue to follow a certain lifestyle. Although there is no need, but they continue to follow certain lifestyle. So Krishna bhogi, Shuko yogi, Nirupau Janakaraghavau, Karmanishtaha Vasishthyadhyaha, Sarvete Jnanina Samaha. All of these are Jnanis. Krishna is Jnani, but bhogi, 16,008 wives, apparently. Shuka also is Jnani, but yogi, is Avadhuta. Nrupau Janaka Raghavau. Janaka and Raghava means Lord Rama is Nrupa, the king. So such Aishwarya is there. And Vasishtha, Karmanishtaha Vasisthadhyaha. Vasishtha and the people are Karmanishta, who is performing the Yajna Yagas, etc. But that means the lifestyle is different. And what determines the lifestyle? That earlier pattern of life. Vasanatmaka vikshep shakyamsha. Earlier vasanas of the upadhi were there, by which they were performing that kind of karma, etc. And so those habitual patterns are set in there, which continue to be there, because there is no reason to obstruct them. And that is why the lifestyle is all different. All the wise people appear to be different in the lifestyle. Sarvete jnana samaha. Vasisthadinam vyavaharobi adhyasajanyaiva parantu tadi adhyasasya bhāsittatvat na satkarana vyavaharasya bandhahetutvam iti bhavaha. And therefore that adhyasa is no more a defect with reference to even appearance of Advitiya Chaitanya. Why? Because that avaranam is eliminated. And therefore this vyavahara does not obstruct the knowledge of Advitiyatvam. The knowledge of the true nature of self is not obstructed. Just as the appearance of mirage water does not obstruct my knowledge of the desert, and so also this vyavahara in the world of duality does not obstruct the knowledge of non-dual self, and therefore it is not a defect. This is the first paksha. And if by vidwan you mean paroksha jnanavan, then says Ratnaprabha dvitiye paroksha jnanasya aparoksha bhranti anivartakatvat avivekinamavi vyavahara kale pasvadihi avisheshad adhyasavatvena tulyatvat vyavahara adhyasakarihi yuktam ityasah. So paroksha jnanasya aparoksha bhranti anivartakatvat. That bhranti, that aham jivaha, aham karta, aham bhokta is aparoksha bhranti, meaning is direct bhranti. So that bhranti being aparoksha, that paroksha jnanam or indirect knowledge cannot eliminate that bhranti. So the ignorance can be eliminated by knowledge of the same class. Aparoksha jnanam cannot be eliminated by paroksha jnanam, only aparoksha jnanam can eliminate aparoksha jnanam. So this karta aham, bhokta aham, this is aparoksha bhranti, and that can be eliminated only by aparoksha jnanam. So paroksha jnanam cannot eliminate that. Therefore, vivekis are still ignorant people. Even though they know intellectually and things like that, but still they are ignorant people because they do not have this knowledge or they do not abide in this vision. So vivekinamavi vyavahara kale pashvadivi avisheshat. So these vivekis, What is Vivekina? Now that's interesting. So Paroksha Jnanasya Ahamiti Aparoksha Adhyasa Nivartakatvat Adhyasa Anivartakatvat Vyavharavatam Tesam Adhyasa Bhava Vaktum Nashakiri Bhava. Meaning, those people who have Paroksha Jnanam, they still have Adhyasa. So then Ratnabhava Vivekinam api Vyavhara Kale Pashvadivihi Avisheshat. What is Vivekinam? Paroksha Jnananam Aparoksha Jnananam cha ityartha. So both. So people who have Paroksha Jnanam or people who have Aparoksha Jnanam, those who are direct knowledge or indirect knowledge, both of them, the Vyavhara of both of them is comparable to the Pashu. So Pashvad Avisheshat refers to Vidwan or Vivekis, and Vivek includes both Paroksha Jnani and Aparoksha Jnani according to this explanation. Vivekinam Vyavhara Kale Pashvadivihi Avisheshat. That there is Avishesha, meaning a similarity with Pashus, and that is why this Vivekis have. Adhyasavatena Tulyatvat. And therefore, just as Pashus have Adhyasa, so also the Vivekis have Adhyasa. In that there is similarities. Vyavhara Adhyasa Karihi Yuktam Ityasa. And therefore, even when you do the illustration of the Vivekis, there are also Adhyasa being there. Vyavhara is invariably a product of Adhyasa. That's how we show that the Vyavhara itself is the evidence of Adhyasa. Adhyasatvena Bhaditatva Abhaditatva Visheshepi Adhyasavatena Tulyatvad Ityartha. With the wise people, there is Bhadita Adhyasa. With the ignorant people, there is a Abhadita Adhyasa. That's the difference. But in each case, Adhyasa is a Bhadita Adhyasa or Abhadita Adhyasa. One person knows Adhyasa is Adhyasa, other person doesn't know Adhyasa is Adhyasa, but Adhyasa is there in each case. Atra ayam prayogaha, Ratnabhava continues. This is the Anumana prayoga. Vivekina adhyasavantaha Vyavharavastvat Pashvadivaditi. This is the prayoga that is being stated by Bhashyakara. Vivekina adhyasavantaha. Even the Vivek is meaning Paroksha or Aparoksha Jnanis are also adhyasavantaha padasam adhyasa Vyavharavastvat, because they conduct Vyavhara. What is the illustration? Pashvadivat. Just as Pashu etc., they perform Vyavhara and there is Adhyasa. So Vyavhara is what? The Hetu. Adhyasa is what? The Sadhya. So Hetu and Sadhya, both of them are present in Pashu. We find the Hetu and the Vyavhara in the Vivekis, therefore Sadhya, namely the Adhyasa also is established. Pashvadivati. Tatra Sangraha Vakyam Vyakurvan Drishtanta Hetum Sputayati. Now Bhashyakara has given this Sangraha Vakya, Vyakurvan, explaining that particular Vakya, Drishtanta Hetum Sputayati. Pashvadivihi, that is Drishtanta. In Drishtanta you must show that the Hetu is there and Sadhya is there. Sometimes the illustration Drishtanta may not be clear. In which case the person who presents the Drishtanta must show how in his Drishtanta the Hetu and Sadhya both are there. So Hetum Sputayati. First of all, the Vyavhara of the Pashu is here explained by Bhashyakara. Says that Yasahi. Yasahi Pashvadeha Shabdadivihi Srotradina Sambandhe Sati Shabdadivijnane Pratikule Jate Tato Nivartante Anukule Pravartante Yatha Dandodhyatakaram Purusham Avimukham Upalabhya Mam Hantumayam Icchati Yadi Palayitumar Bhante हरिततृण पूर्ण पाणि उपलभ्य संप्रते अभिमुखी भवन्ति. This is दृष्टांत. यथा ही just to illustrate. Pashvadaya, Adaya. What Adaya means? It's all these other jantus, the insects and stuff like that. So all of these, all those who function on instinct, in short. Even the trees, etc., all of them. So Pashvadaya, all of these. Shabdadivi, Shrotraadinam, even the mosquito also is included in there. Shabdadivi, Shrotraadinam, Sambandhe Sadi. First of all, Pramana Vyavahara is shown. That Pashu is also a Pramana Vyavahara. That they also hear and see, otherwise there is no comparison. That mosquito also, etc., have the hearing faculties, or whatever some faculties are there by which they perform the Vyavahara. Otherwise you cannot give them as illustration. Suppose you give illustration of Pashu and they don't have any Pramana Vyavahara, then what? There is a Pramana Prameya Vyavahara. How? That's why it says, Shabdadihi Shrotradinam Sambandhe Sati. Even the Pashu, such as cow, when hears Shabdadihi Shrotradinam Sambandhe Sati, when the ears of that Pashu have come in contact with the sound, then this Sambandha is there, then they hear the sound. Because then alone we see the response. Otherwise you don't see the response. When there is a cow, then you call the cow, So guy, whatever it is. When you go there for offering food, there is a way of calling this cow. Then on the cow comes to you. Otherwise cow doesn't come because it's looking in some other direction, and then you call the cow. Then the cow responds. That shows that the cow hears. And the response is as a result of that hearing. So Shabdadivi Shrotraadinam Sambandhe Sati. Only when the Sambandha of the Shrotra and the Shabda is there, then Shabdadi Vijnane Sati, then Shabdadi Vijnanam. Then there is a knowledge in the cow of that Shabda or the sound of the word. Cow may not understand the words that we speak because cow may not know the language. But then our words convey something which the cow understands in its own way. Pratikule jate, when that sound is pratikula, suppose a wild animal is making a sound, then immediately the animals know, like the deer, etc., this pratikula sound, immediately palayatum arabhante, right away they run away. Or a mosquito also sees by some means that the hand is approaching it, like this, immediately, however it knows, it must have some kind of an antenna, by which it knows that there is something coming near to me, and therefore right away it runs. Palayatum arabhante. So how they run away until like it's quietly sitting there and enjoying itself, It runs away only when my hand is going to land there, otherwise until then it does not run away. That shows that it somehow senses the landing of my hand and it runs away. That means there is some Pramana Prameya Vyavahara. This hand is Prameya. It knows that it is approaching. So Pramana Prameya Vyavahara is there in all these fellows. So Pratikule Jate, when there is Pratikulatvam, Tataha Nivartante, then in Pasu etc. also they receive from that. Anukule cha Pravartante, when they find the sound is Anukula, Pravartante, then they approach that. Then Bhashyakara himself explains. Then again, that first the Pramana Vyavahara is shown, then the illustration is further explained. Say Ratna Prabha, Vijnanasya Anukulatvam Pratikulatvam cha Ishtanishta Sadhana Gocharatvam Tadeva Udaharati. How can the cow determine that this particular sound is Anukula and a given sound is Pratikula? Or a given knowledge is Anukula and knowledge cannot be Anukula or Pratikula. There cannot be Anukulatva or Pratikulatva in knowledge. Anukulatva and Pratikulatva is the object of knowledge. You know a danda and you know the grass also, that knowledge is neither Anukula or Pratikula. That danda is Pratikula, grass is Anukula. So Anukulatva and Pratikulatva is in the object of knowledge, not in the knowledge, understand? Even though Pratikule Shabdadi Vijnana Jati, even though Bhashyakara says that, what is meant is that Vijnanasya Anukulatvam Pratikulatvam cha Ishta Anishta Sadhana Gocharatvam. That knowledge which makes me aware of Anishta Sadhanam, a desirable object, then I say that it is favorable knowledge. Suppose when I pass the examination, favorable knowledge. I gain the knowledge, I fail in the examination, unfavorable knowledge. It is knowledge. Knowledge is not favorable or unfavorable. However, knowledge of a favorable object is generally called favorable knowledge, and knowledge of an unfavorable object is called unfavorable knowledge. In knowledge, there is nothing favorable, nothing unfavorable. Ishta-anishta sadhana gocharatvam tadeva udaharati. Bhashyakara gives illustrates what is anukulatvam and pratikulatvam in this knowledge. Yasa iti. Yasa dandodyatakaram purusham abhimukham upalabhya. Dandodyatakaram, one who has a raised danda in his hand. So purusham abhimukham upalabhya. When a cow finds in front of it a person threatening with a stick or danda raised in his hand and threatening, then the cow knows there is also anumana pramana is there. Not only pratyaksha pramana is there, that shabdadi, shrotraadinam, shabdadi sambandha sati, but anumana pramana also is there in cow. How is it? Ratnava says, I am dandaha, but anishta sadhanam, dandatvat, anubhuta dandavat. It's not that the cow knows that danda is necessarily pratikula, but the past, the cow has known that wherever danda is, it means beating, and therefore it means it's pain. So anubhuta dandavat. This danda is the same as the previous danda or similar to a previous danda. So danda, either because the owner is there, the same danda every day he raises, and the cow knows that I should better receive from here. Or some strange person may be there with a similar danda also, then also anubhuta dandavat. I am dandaha mat anishta sadhanam. Cow says, this danda is anishta sadhanam, is unfavorable to me. It's something that will cause pain to me, How? Dandatva, because it's a danda. Anubhuta dandavat, similar to a danda that I have experienced in the past, therefore this danda also is mat anishta sadhanam. And so abhimukham upalabhya maam hantamaya vicchati. Then cow determines, I am maam hantam vicchati. This fellow is going to beat me or hurt me. Iti palayatum aravante. And so this pashvadaya, this pashu etc. palayatum aravante. They immediately proceed to recede or turn away or run away from there. There is an avoidance, dukkha nivritti, natural instinct, avoiding of pain or suffering. Then harita truna purna pani upalabhya. When a cow sees a person carrying in the hand a bunch of green grass, then what? Says Ratnaprabha, idam trunam ishta sadhanam anubhuta jatiyatvat anubhuta trunavat iti anumaya. This trunam or grass is ishta sadhanam, is something that is favorable to me, desirable. Anubhuta jatiyatvat is similar to a truna that I experienced in the past. Not the same trunam, but the trunam that I ate in the past. Anubhuta trunavat, because this truna of the grass is similar to the grass that I had experienced earlier or I had eaten earlier and from which I had gained satisfaction, and therefore this grass is a ishta sadhanam. It is anumaya vyavaharanti. Therefore we imagine that these pashus also have anumanam in them. Pratyaksha also is there, anumanam also is there. So this pramana prameya vyavahara is shown in the pashus. Drastanta is explained that where in pashu also, who says there is pramana prameya vyavahara in pashus? There is. We say the pashus are totally like the toys, with a key or with a battery. Not so. Pashu also has certain freedom of going towards ishta sadhanam and receding away from anishta sadhanam. That freedom pashu also has. Cow may not have the freedom to think that it can become buffalo or something, or it wants to become a better cow or a bigger cow or a more beautiful cow. That freedom cow may not have. But cow does have freedom to avoid pain and to seek pleasure. That freedom is there. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya and Maitunam. There are 4 instincts, and to fulfill those instincts, that much freedom all these animals or living beings have. Adhuna hetoho paksha dharmatam aha. Now this hetu is there. What is the hetu? Vyavahara. So we have shown how the drashtanta and the pashvadaya possesses vyavahara, which is hetu for establishing the adhyasa. Now you must show the presence of this hetu in the wise people also. You must show that there is vyavahara in the vivekis also. then alone you can establish adhyasa in the Vivekis. So adhuna hetoho paksha dharmatam aha. The hetu is paksha dharmatam. So pakshasya dharma, paksha dharma. Hetu possesses a state of being the paksha dharma, meaning the attribute of the paksha. What is paksha? The Viveki is paksha. Paksha means that which is to be analyzed. For which there is a question whether sadhya is present or not. That is called paksha. Says Bhashyakara, evam purushaha ape vyutpanna chittaha krura dushtin akroshatah khadgodyadakaran balavatah upalabhya tato nivartante tad viparitan prati pravartante अतः समानः पश्वादिभिः पुरुषाणां प्रमाणप्रमेय व्यवहारः एवं in the same manner also एवं is अव्युत्पन्न चित्तः एवं पुरुषाः अपि व्युत्पन्न चित्ताः it should be व्युत्पन्न चित्ताः अपि इति अन्वयः व्युत्पन्न चित्ताः अपि पुरुषाः even though the people, the persons, Vippanna Chittaha, even though they are of enlightened nature. Vivekis or even Avivekis, Paroksha Jnani are also enlightened people, with reference to the masses. And of course, the Paroksha Jnani is enlightened in absolute sense. So, even they also, meaning Vivekinaha, even these Vivekis, Krura Dushtin Akroshatah Khadgodyadakaran Balavataha Upalabhya. Even this Viveki also finds a person or a set of people, Krura Dushtin, looking in a very cruel manner, appearing cruel, Akroshatah, screaming and shouting, Khadgodyadakaran, having raised a sword in their hand, Balavataha, and strong. Otherwise you may run and you may not bother. Suppose somebody has sword, you must snatch away the sword. But Balavataha, a person who is stronger, Khadgodyadakaran, raising sword. Even then also he can be a policeman. There can be a strong person also with a sword, not that it is always a cause of fear. In fact, you may seek protection out of that. But here, Akroshatah, screaming. Even then also is okay. Maybe screaming at somebody else, but Krura Drishti. And so, when you find that the fellow is screaming at you and looking at his drishti, you find all cruelty in there, then you know that there is danger here. Upalabhya, when they perceive this, Tataha Nivartante. Even this, all these Vivekis also Nivartante, they also receive from there. Tad Viparitan Prati Pravartante. On the other hand, you find people who are kind and who are not only screaming at you, but then perhaps inviting you, etc. This Viparitan Prati Pravartante. And you automatically, they have activities, they proceed towards people who are kind the other way. Ataha Samanaha Pashvadvihi Purushanam Pramana Prameya Vyavahara. Therefore we say that this Vyavahara of the Vivekis and Vyavahara of the Pasus is Samanam. Vivekis are also found to do this, Pasus are also found to do this. And Pasus have this Pramana Prameya Vyavahara, Vivekis also have. Therefore, there is a similarity, sadrusham between the Drishtanta and the Paksha. So there is sadrusham. In Drishtanta we have both Hetu and Sadhya. In Paksha we have shown the Hetu, and the Sadhya, namely Adhyasvatvam, is established. Okay, we'll continue. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Omkarasya Shabdasya Bhavetau Brahmanah Pura Kantham Vitva Viniryatau Tasman Mangalika गोचरयोः विषय विषयिणोः तमः प्रकाशवद्विरुद्ध स्वभावयोः इतरेतर भावानुपपत्तौ सिद्धायाम् तद्धर्माणामपि सूत्राम् इतरेतर भावानुपपत्तिः इत्यतः अस्मत्प्रत्ययगोचरे विषयिणे चिदात्मके युष्मत्प्रत्ययगोचरस्य विषयस्य तद्धर्माणाञ्च अध्यासः तद्विपर्ययेण विषयिणः तद्धर्माणाञ्च विषये अध्यासः मिथ्येति भवितुं युक्तम् तथापि अन्योन्यस्मिन् अन्योन्यात्मकताम् अन्योन्यधर्मांश्च अध्यस्य इतरेतरा विवेकेन अत्यन्तविविक्तयोः धर्मधर्मिणोः मिथ्याज्ञाननिमित्तः सत्यानृते मिथुनीकृत्य अहमिदं ममेदमिति नैसर्गिकोऽयं लोकव्यवहारः पश्वादिभिश्च विशेषात् यथा हि पश्वादयः शब्दादिभिः श्रोत्रादीनां सम्बन्धे सति शब्दादिविज्ञाने प्रतिकूले जाते ततो निवर्तन्ते अनुकूले च प्रवर्तन्ते यथा दण्डोद्यतकरम् पुरुषम् अभिमुखम् उपलभ्य मां हन्तुमयमिच्छति इति पलायितुमारभन्ते हरिततृणपूर्णपाणिमुपलभ्य तं प्रत्यभिमुखी भवन्ति एवं पुरुषापि व्युत्पन्नचित्ताः क्रूरदृष्टीन् आक्रोशतः खड्गोद्यतकरान् बलवतः उपलभ्य ततो निवर्तन्ते तद्विपरीतान् प्रति प्रवर्तन्ते अतः समानः पश्वादिभिः पुरुषाणां प्रमाणप्रमेयव्यवहारः अतः समानः पश्वादिभिः पुरुषाणां प्रमाणप्रमेयव्यवहारः. It was accepted that the ignorant people definitely have the adhyasa, but how about the people who are wise? Would you say that there is adhyasa in them also when they conduct their vyavahara? The answer is yes. That the vyavahara of the wise people also is very comparable to that of the animals. And this was shown how there is pramana prameya vyavahara in the animals also. That when there is a knowledge of something that is ishta sadhanam, then there is naturally a pravritti, knowledge of anishta sadhanam, and there is nivritti. Similarly also, for the enlightened people, there is pravritti towards something that is favorable, and nivritti from that which appears to be unfavorable. And therefore, so in that some inference, so there is pratyaksha. Pratyaksha means perception. You see a person with a raised sword or something like that. Then there is an inference. This is idam anishta sadhanam. This is anishta sadhanam. This is something that will bring about anishta for me, like the sword in the past. And that is how the person recedes from there. And you find someone who is kind, then also there is inference involved that this is a kind looking person, and so he is a favorable person. So there is pravritti there. Thus there is perception, inference, all of this involved in case of animals, and that is also involved in case of this enlightened people, and the vyavahara is similar. Therefore we say that if there is adhyasa in the pashus, there should be adhyasa in these people also, a habitual adhyasa. Except in one case there is no viveka, in the other case there is viveka. There is a lot of difference, but some kind of an adhyasa is called for any vyavahara to be conducted. So page 15, evam purushaha api vyutpanna chittaha krura drishti. Find people having krura drishti, meaning people having a very cruel or threatening appearance. Akroshataha, shouting, screaming. Khadgodyatakaran, and that they have raised a sword in their hand. Balavataha, very strong. Upalabhya tataha nivartante, habitually. Looking at such people who are threatening, they automatically recede from there. Tad vipritan pratipravartante, and towards people who are just opposite of them, towards them there is an activity. Ataha, so vyutpanna chittaha api iti anvayaha, meaning vivekinaha api. So phalitamaha ataha, ataha means anubhava balad. Thus, on account of anubhava, on account of experience that we find in wise people also, samanaha pashvadibhi purushanam pramana prameya vyavaharaha. That even purushanam means vivekinam. So even for the vivekis, the vyavahara is similar to that of the animals. Samanaha means what? Adhyasa karyatvena tulyaha. Not that the vyavahara of the wise people is similar to that of animals. What is the similarity there? Adhyasa karyatvena tulyaha. That the vyavahara of the animals also is adhyasa karya, and that of the enlightened people also is adhyasa karya. So in as much as that vyavahara is a product of adhyasa or is preceded by adhyasa, in that aspect there is similarity, not in other aspect. Now Ratna Prabhakara says, Nanu asmakam pravritti adhyasaditi na pashvadayo bruvanti nabi pareshamedat pratyaksham. He says the animals never say that our pravritti is due to adhyasa, that we are doing these things due to adhyasa. Animals never say that. Nabi paresham etat pratyaksham, nor is it evident to other people that animals know that there is an adhyasa. So animals don't claim to have adhyasa, nor it is evident to onlookers whether it is clear to animals that there is an adhyasa or not. And therefore, ataha sadhya vikalo drishtantaha. A human being may say that there is an adhyasa. Animal never says. How do you say that this drishtanta of animal? So how do you say it's a drishtanta or something that provides an illustration for the vyavahara of the wise person? Sadhya vikalaha, sadhya rahitaha. Meaning, what is sadhya? Sadhya is that adhyasa karyaha vyavaharaha. That is sadhya. That wherever vyavahara is, adhyasa must be. That in the animals there is vyavahara, so there is adhyasa. How do you say that? Animals never say that, nor anybody else also can say, or that animals know this kind of a thing. And therefore, it is necessary to show that there is adhyasa in animals. So, Pashvadinam cha, Bhashyakara says. Says that Pashvadinishta adhyasa para pratyaksha vishayo na bhavati iti bhavaha. Idea is that adhyasa in the animals is not something that we can see. We can see vyavahara all right, but we cannot see adhyasa in the animal. So how do you say that? Because the idea is, whenever you give an illustration, the drishtanta is something that must have acceptance by both the parties. Otherwise it cannot serve as a drishtanta, as an illustration. So the Puru Pakshi or the other opponent also should accept that yes, there is adhyasa in the animal. He says, how do you say there is adhyasa in the animal? Para pratyaksha vishayo na bhavati. Para means for someone else. That adhyasa in the animal does not become evident to someone else. Sadhya vikala means sadhya rahita ityasa. So, Bhashyakara says there, Pashvadinancha iti. Pashvadinancha prasiddha aviveka purassara pratyakshadi vyavahara. This Pashvadinancha prasiddha aviveka purassara. That the Pashus do not have viveka. That everyone knows. Then when there is no viveka, there is adhyasa. So, it is aviveka of Pashus is known to everyone, and therefore adhyasa also becomes a proven fact. Says Ratnaprabha, Tesham Atma Anatmanoho Jnanamatram Asti Na Vivekaha. See, knowledge is one thing, viveka is another thing. So, Tesham Atma Anatmanoho Jnanamatram Asti. That I am a cow, I am Atma, and this is grass, Anatma, or other than Atma. Anatma means that is clear to even an animal also. This is a dog and this is a cat, or whatever they call in their own language, but it is clear that this is something different from me. So, Atma Anatmanoho Jnanamatramasti, that knowledge of Atma and Anatma is there in animals, na viveka, but viveka is not there. Says the Purnand Ahamiti Samanyatmakam Jnanamasti idam asti idam chetanam idam achetanam idam madiyam ityadi jnanam chasti pashvadinam. Even a cow knows this is my calf, and this is chetanam, this is achetanam, like a dog, etc. Chetanam. So there is a different kind of response. A stone, etc. Achetanam. Even animals also show different response towards living and non-living things. So we think that they know this kind of a difference. And the attitude of a dog towards its own little things is different from that of others. Therefore we also say that they have this knowledge, madiyam, this is mine and this is not mine. And so aham and mama, that kind of a knowledge seems to be there in the Pashus also. Then Tesham Atmanatmaho Jnana Matram Asti. Merely this much knowledge is there. Then what is not there in them? It says, Na Vivekaha Shastracharyo Padesha Bhavat Aham Dehendriya Vilakshanaha Iti Viveka Rupa Vailakshanya Jnanam Tu Nasti Iti Bhavaha. Since they do not have the benefit of Shastra Acharya Upadesha, therefore, Aham Dehendriya Vilakshanaha, that I am someone who is distinct from Deha Indriya, etc. So this kind of Viveka Rupa Vailakshanya Jnana. So that Atma Vailakshanyam, Atma is Vilakshana, different from Deha Indriya. This kind of Atma Anatma Viveka, a distinction or a separation of Atma and Anatma is not there in them. How do you say it is not there? Shastra Acharya Upadesha Bhavat. Because this knowledge cannot come to anyone unless there is an Upadesha. This is our belief, that no one would ever know this by themselves. No one would ever suspect that what I take myself to be, I am not. And so, that has to be actually told. And so, the Upadesha must be there. And not ordinary Upadesha, Shastra Acharya Upadesha must be there. And since animals are not known to have such a system there, therefore we say, the Upadesha Abhavat Jnanam or Avivekaham. Since they do not have the benefit of Upadesha, therefore we say that they do not have this Atma Anatma Viveka. And so Aviveka is there. Aviveka Purassaraha Vyavaharaha. The Vyavahara of the animals, of Pratyaksha or Anumana, etc. is Aviveka Purassaraha. Is always preceded by Aviveka or a lack of discriminating knowledge between Atma and Anatma. That's what Ratnaprabha said. तेषाम आत्मानात्मनो ज्ञानमात्रमस्ति न विवेकः उपदेश अभावात्. And therefore, what are you trying to say? अतः सामग्री सत्वात् अध्यासः तेषाम प्रसिद्धः इत्यर्थः. So samagri is there in animals for adhyasa, therefore adhyasa is there. What is samagri? It says purvokta dosha samprayoga samskara swarupa samagri rupa lingat. This was discussed earlier. Dosha must be there. What is the dosha? This ajnana, aviveka is the dosha. Samprayoga, there must be a contact also. And samskara, the past samskara of aham mama also must be there. And so that there is knowledge of deha indriya, samprayoga is there. There is aham mama bhava in the deha indriya, the samskara also is there. And because of lack of upadesha, aviveka also is there, dosha is there. So dosha, samprayoga, samskara. This samagri, the required equipment or required causes for adhyasa to take place, that is there in animals, therefore we say that adhyasa is. So samagri rupa linga. So that sadhya rahitatvam is not there. Animals also have adhyasa. This is what we can infer because there is adequate samagri for animals to have adhyasa. अतः सामग्री सत्वात् अध्यासः तेषां प्रसिद्धः इति इत्यर्थः. निगमयति. निगमयति means what? Therefore भाष्यकार now concludes this discussion on adhyasa. Says Purnandya पश्वादिविश्च अविशेषादि संग्रह वाक्ये तात्पर्येण उक्तं विवेकिनां व्यवहार सध्यास कार्यत्वम् उपसंहरति. And so that vivek is also adhyasa, or the vyavahara of the vivek is also the product of adhyasa. That Bhashyakara now concludes here in the last sentence. Tat samanya darshanat vyutpattimataamapi purushanam pratyakshadi vyavaharaha tatkalaha samanaha iti nischiyate. Tat samanya darshanat. What is tat samanya darshanat? Paratna Prabha says, Taihi pashvadibhi samanyam. Tat samanya means taihi samanyam. Taihi means pashvadibhi saha. Saharthe tritiya. Taihi saha samanyam. What is samanyam? Vyavaharavatvam. That there is a vyavahara in the pashus and there is vyavahara in the enlightened people also. So tat samanya darshanat, and when vyavahara in the pashus is invariably accompanied with adhyasa, and we find vyavahara in the enlightened people also, therefore there must be adhyasa, because there is a vyapti. Wherever vyavahara is, adhyasa must be, and that is proven in case of the animals also. Samanyam vyavaharavatvam tasya darshanat, meaning vyavaharavatva darshanat. That is vyavaharavatvam, that the animals are possessed of vyavahara, the wise are also possessed of vyavahara. That's samanya darshanat. Means pratyaksha pramana siddhatvat. We perceive that vyavahara in both. Vivekena api ayam vyavaharaha samanati nischyate iti sambandha. Vivekena means paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnaninam cha. Both. For the paroksha jnanis and aparoksha jnanis, that the vyavahara is preceded by the adhyasa. Iti nischyate iti sambandha. This is the nischaya, so this is a certain conclusion that we arrive at, that there is vyavahara in these wise people also. Says Purnananda in the third line, Yadrusha pashvadinam vyavahara pratyaksha pramanena drishyate vivekena vi tadrusho vyavahara pratyakshena drishyate. Just as we find vyavahara of these animals as a matter of evident fact, and so we find vyavahara, similar vyavahara of pravritti towards something favorable and nivritti from something unfavorable. That similar vyavahara is found. तथाच पश्वाद्भिः सह व्यवहारवत्व रूप समान धर्मवत्वेन तत्तुल्यानां विवेकिनां. And so, hetuho paksha dharmata. There is a hetu, namely vyavahara. So, the wise people, the animals are possessed of vyavaharavatvam, and wise are also possessed of vyavaharavatvam. So, vyavaharavatva rupa samana dharmavatvena tat tulyanam vivekinam pumsam vyavaharopi adhyasa karyatva rupa samana dharmena pashvadi vyavahara tulyahiti nischediti samudaya granthartha. Therefore, that this vyavahara of the wise also is preceded by adhyasa. It is clear. It is something that is established, proven. What is the inference in what? Trayam prayogah vivekinam vyavaharah tadiya adhyasa karyah. That adhyasa anvaya vyatireka anusaritvat pashvadi vyavahara uditi. That the vyavahara of the vivekis is tadiya adhyasa karyah, is the product of the adhyasa in the vivekis. Because there is anvaya vyatireka anusaritva on the vyavahara, like the vyavahara of the pashus, and therefore it is shown here, idea is that wherever vyavahara is, adhyasa must be there, whether it is wise or otherwise. That is the wise also it is there. So without this adhyasa, aham mama bhava, it is not possible to perform the vyavahara. Except in case of the wise people, there is viveka, the adhyasa is adhyasa. In case of other wise people, that viveka is not there, they take the body as I. The wise person knows body is not I, but I am playing a role. That I am functioning through the body. Because of the prarabdha, the body is there, and therefore this vyavahara is being performed. This is the knowledge of the wise person, and therefore it makes all the difference. But it is necessary for him also to have some kind of an aham mama buddhi in this upadhi for the vyavahara to take place, just as an actor has some kind of an aham mama buddhi in that costume, and then alone an actor can play the role of a beggar or a king or whatever, otherwise he cannot play. Because once he comes out of the stage, even though he wears the clothes of a king, he doesn't act as a king. Then he acts only as a beggar, as actor. He smokes and stuff like that. Moment he comes out, not on the stage, then he's different. So when on the stage alone he acts as, that means that only when in that costume he has that aham bhava, then alone he can bring about that acting out of himself. And moment that goes away, he cannot act as such. So that is the kind of vyavahara that a wise person has. तत्रोक्त अन्वय व्यतिरेको स्मारयति तत्कालः इति समानः इति निश्चयते. तत्कालः मीन्स व्यवहार कालः. तस्य अध्यासस्य कालः यस्य सः तत्कालः. अध्यास is called तत्कालः means what? That यदा अध्यासः तदा व्यवहारः. Idea is wherever अध्यास is, then alone व्यवहार can be. तदभावे सुषुप्तो तदभावः इति उक्त अन्वयादिमान इति यावत्. अन्वयादिमान is अन्वय व्यतिरेकवान. अन्वय व्यतिरेकवान. That adhyasa is अन्वय व्यतिरेक व्यवहार is अन्वय व्यतिरेक अनुसार. अध्यास अन्वय व्यतिरेक अनुसारे. अतः व्यवहार लिंगात् विवेकिनापि देहादिषु अहम मम अभिमानः अस्ति इति अनवद्यम्. Anavadyam means free from blemish. Otherwise, it is a blasphemy to say that even wise people also have adhyasa. It's a very bold statement on the part of Bhashyakara. And anybody would protest. How can you say that a wise person has adhyasa? He says, well, he also has some kind of an adhyasa. Vyavahara linga, vyavahara itself becomes evidence, linga or hetu, to show that because vyavahara cannot be there unless adhyasa is, that vyapti being there, that in the vivek is also, in the deha indriya, aham mama bhava is there, it is anavadyam, it is free from defect or blemish. Sist karma kartuhu dehadirikta atmajnana bhave. No, this is later on. No, go continuing further. Says Ratnaprabha, Nanu laukika vyavaharasya adhyasikatvevi jyotishtomade vyavaharasya na adhyasajanyatvam. So, okay, all the laukika vyavahara that you perform, doing all these day-to-day activities, that it involves adhyasa in the Deha Indriya. But when a person performs Vedic karma, like Jyotistoma, etc., then would you say that there is an adhyasa? When a person performs karma such as Jyotistoma, which is intended to earn him Swarga or heavens, at that time we say that there is no adhyasa because he has knowledge that I am different from the body. See, whenever anybody is planning for heavens, definitely there must be a knowledge in that person that I am not this body. Because everyone knows that the body is burned to ashes here itself and still is planning to go to heavens and enjoy those things. That shows that there is knowledge in that person that I am different from the body. So you say that this person does not have the viveka that I am different from the body. Therefore there is adhyasa. But for the person who performs a Vedic karma, there is a viveka that I am different from the body. If that knowledge is not inherently there, how can you perform the action of going to heaven? Charvakas will never perform. Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya punaragamanam kutah. And so when the deha is bhasmi bhuta, who has seen the heavens? They say this is all the product of imagination of these panditas. Just to keep you fellows always, under that thumb or whatever. And so the Charvakas, the materialists, will never accept it. And still the Vedikas, Todo Shraddha, they do this Vyavahara. That shows that there is in them this knowledge that Atma is different from Dehendriya. So we would say that they have that Viveka Jnanam, and therefore the person who performs that Jyotistama, you cannot say that he has Adhyasa. This is a question. It says, Nanu Laukika Vyavaharasya Adhyasikatvevi. Even though Laukika Vyavahara, day-to-day activity, certainly involves Adhyasa, is a product of Adhyasa. Jyotistomadi Vyavaharasya na Adhyasa Janyatvam. That Jyotistomadi Vyavahara, when a person performs Jyotistoma, karma, etc., which is meant to earn him the other world, na Adhyasa Janyatvam, that Vyavahara is not a product of Adhyasa. Tasya Deha Atirikta Atma Jnana Purvakatvad. Because this action is preceded by Atma Jnanam. What Atma Jnanam? Deha Atirikta Atma Jnana Purvakatvad. This kind of action or Vyavahara must be preceded by the knowledge that Atma is Deha Atirikta. Id Ashankya Hetum Angikaroti. This is Ashanka. Says Ratna Prabhakara in the last line of the first para, Karma Kartuhu Deha Atirikta Atma Jnana Bhave Karmani Pravritti Eva Nasyat. The person who performs a Jyotistoma, unless he knew that Atma is different from the Deha, there is no way that he could undertake such an activity, because that is an action performed to earn him the place in heavens. And so unless he had the knowledge that Atma is different from the body, there is no way that he could have the activity in that pravritti. Ataha phalabhokta dehatirikta atma asti jnanam karma hetuhu. That Atma is phalabhokta. Atma is experience of the phala and different from the deha. That kind of knowledge one must have in order to perform that action. Therefore, shankituhu abhipraya, that shankitu. So therefore the Shankitru says that this person knows the Deha Tiriktatvam of the Atma. How do you say that? His Vyavahara is similar to the Laukika Vyavahara. Shastriyetu. So Vashyakara says, he accepts it. Says, yeah, you're right, and still there is Adhyasa. So says Vashyakara, Hetum Angikaroti. What is Hetum? Dehatirikta Atma Jnana Purvakatvam. That there is a knowledge of, there is knowledge that Atma is different from the Deha. That knowledge is there, we accept it, and still there is Adhyasa. How? Shastriyetu Vyavahare Yadyapi Buddhi Purvakare Na Aviditva Atmanah Paraloka Sambandham Adhikriyate Tathapi Na Vedanta Vedyam Ashanayadi Atitam Apeta Brahma Kshatradi Bhedam Asamsare Atma Tattvam Adhikare Apekshade Anupayogad Adhikara Virodhacha. Shastriye to vyavahare, in the Shastriya vyavahara, such as Jyotishtomadi, yet there be buddhipurvakari, even though the person is buddhipurvakari, meaning what? Atmanaha paralokasya sambandham aviditva. He knows that Atma is paraloka sambandhi. Yahaloka paraloka gami, that Atma is the one that goes from this world to the other world, and that kind of knowledge is there. Na aviditva atmanaha paraloka sambandham adhikriyate. Certainly a person who performs such an action would not be qualified. A person would not be qualified unless he knew that Atma is related to the paraloka. So atmanaha paraloka sambandham aviditva na adhikriyate. A person will not be qualified, will not have the initiative or the motivation rather to perform an action such as Jyotistoma unless there was a knowledge that Atma is related to the paraloka. Tathapi, even then, say Ratna Brahmakara, tarhi katham vaidika karmana adhyasa janyatva siddhi. When he knows that Atma is different from the Deha, then how do you say that is adhyasa in that person? Iti ashankya. Kim tatra deha anyatmadhi matram pekshatam uta atma tattva jnanam. Let us ask you this question, that when a person performs the Jyotistoma karma, etc., for Swarga, then yes, definitely he has a knowledge that Atma is different from the body, but what sort of knowledge is expected there? Merely the knowledge that Atma is different from the body, only that much knowledge is expected for that karma? Or is it necessary for him to know that Atma is Brahma and that knowledge is required for him to perform Jyotistoma? So some kind of knowledge of Atma is there, that Atma is different from the body. But what is the extent of that knowledge? Is it merely the knowledge that Atma is different from the body? Or the knowledge that Atma is Brahma? Please tell us, Atma Tattva Jnanam. So what kind of knowledge does that person have? Adye tasya adhyasa avadakatvat tat siddhi. Adye meaning only if the person says that Atma is different from the body. That knowledge is not adhyasa badakam, that is not opposed to adhyasa. That you may take the Atma to be different from the body and still take the Atma as one with the mind. And that's the problem there. That even though these fellows know the Atma is different from the body, they take Atma as Karta and Bhokta. Meaning, they take the Atma as identified as the Buddhi and the mind. And therefore, they do not have the Yathartha Jnana of the Atma. Therefore, some Adhyasa is there. If the extent of Adhyasa is somewhat less than the Adhyasa of the person who does the Laukika Vyavahara, definitely there is Adhyasa as much as there is identification with the mind and the intellect. So, Adye tasya Adhyasa avadakatvat. In as much as the knowledge of the merely Dehatirek Tattvam is not opposed to Adhyasa, tat siddhi meaning Adhyasa siddhi. Therefore, Tathapi, Bhashyakara said, Tathapi, na Vedanta Vedyam, Tathapi, that's all. That's only answer. The word Tathapi is an answer. That yes, we accept, says the Purana, Tathapi, the Aksharatrayana Prasama Paksha Ukta Pariharo Jnapyade. Even then, when you say even then, meaning that yes, what you say is accepted by us, and still there is Adhyasa. So that Tathapi shows that much. And then secondly, Nadvitiya, because it does not have Atma Tattva Jnanam or Atma Yathartha Jnanam. Na Vedanta iti. So Bhashyakara said, Na Vedanta Vedyam. The person does not know that Atma is Atma Tattva is Vedanta Vedyam. Vedanta Vedyam means what? That Atma is Brahma. That he does not know. Atma is not to be known by mind or the intellect or by the sense organs. Atma is what? Vedanta Vedya. See, if the person has never studied Vedanta or has never heard the Upadesha of the Vedanta, then there is no way that he would ever know that Atma can be different from Karta Bhokta. Because by your own direct experience, you will always know yourself as samsari. And so unless one is exposed to Vedanta, there is no way that the person would ever suspect that Atma is Ashanaya, Pipa, Ashanaya. So Ashanaya adi Atidam. That Atma is Atida. Someone that transcends the hunger and thirst, is devoid of hunger and thirst in all the samsara dharmas. Apeta Brahma Kshatradi Bhedam. Meaning that he is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, etc. Atma is not a Brahmana nor a Kshatriya. Even though the fellow takes himself to be different from body, he does take himself as a Brahmana. Otherwise, Jyotistoma he cannot perform because Brahmana alone is qualified there. And a Kshatriya would perform some other karma because he takes himself to be Kshatriya. Atma Tattva is what? Apeta Brahma Kshatradi Bhedam. That Brahma means Brahmin, Kshatriya, these Vedas are not there in the Atma Tattva. He doesn't know that. Otherwise he would not perform the action. That Atma is Ashanayadi Atitaha. Atma is beyond hunger and thirst. Why does he want to go to heavens anyway? Na tatratvam na jaraya bibheti. Ubhe tirtva ashanaya pipase. In the heavens, there is no ashana and pipasa. There is no hunger and thirst. That's why a person wants to go to heavens. People are fed up with the suffering here and they want to become free from all the suffering. And that is how the heaven is imagined to be a place which is devoid of all the sufferings that we come across in this world. What is the suffering? Hunger and thirst. And that stands for all the pairs of opposite. Heat and cold, hunger and thirst, man and apmana, honor and dishonor. All of this you are free from in heavens. That means you think that Atma is subject to hunger and thirst. Atma is subject to honor and dishonor. That much you think. That means you do not know that Atma is the one who is beyond honor and dishonor. That knowledge is not there. Had that knowledge been there, there would have been no need for him to plan for heavens. So Ashanayadi Apedam, Ashanayadi Atidam, Apeda Brahma Kshatradi Bhedam, Asamsari Atma Tattvam. I am a samsari, meaning beyond the birth and death. Otherwise, how would you think that he is going to be born in heavens? And so, this kind of knowledge here, that shows, this kind of notions he entertains about the Atma, that shows that he does not have the Atma Yathatma Jnanam. Because such Atma Tattvam Adhikare na apekshade. What is apeksha? What is expectation for Adhikara? So, who is expected to perform this Jyotishtoma karma? So, or what kind of knowledge is expected? We do not expect from him the knowledge that Atma is Ashanaya Atitaha, Apeda Brahma Kshatradi Bhedaha, Asamsari. That kind of knowledge is not expected from that person in order for him to perform the Jyotishtoma karma. So, Anupayogat Adhikara Virodhacha. This knowledge is not upayogi in performance of Jyotishtoma karma. Adhikara Virodhacha. In fact, that would eliminate the very motivation to perform the action. If I know that I am a samsari, devoid of ashanaya pipasa, that I am not a brahmana, kshatriya or anything, then what remains to be done? Tasya karyam na vidyate. Nothing remains to be done. So that very knowledge will eliminate the motivation to perform this action. And so, adhikara virodhacha. It's better that he knows himself as a brahmana, kshatriya. Otherwise, Vedas would become redundant. Since the person has this notion that I am Brahmana, Kshatriya, Ashanaya, Vanaham, Pipasa, Vanaham, etc., therefore Vedas can say do this and do that, and that's how you can keep the fellows busy. Otherwise, they will not come under your thumb. How can you keep the people busy or engaged? Only when they have certain notions about themselves. If they don't have the notion, then you cannot control them. And so to control, you must pinpoint their notions. Anyway, that's how the Vedas. So, keep this samsara running. That's why they say, Urdumulam Madashakam Ashwatam Prahu Avyam Chandamsi Yasya Paranani. So, Yasya Paranani Chandamsi. The Vedas are the Paranas or the very leaves of this tree of samsara. Just as a leaf keeps the life of the tree going, and so also the Vedas keep the life going, samsara tree going, by motivating him to perform variety of actions and earning different karma phalas. And that is how this karma phala chain is perpetuated by the very Vedas. by the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. And that would not be effective if this fellow knew I am beyond Ashanaya Pipasa. And so such a knowledge is not expected. In fact, it is opposed to the very, motivation for performance of action. That's what Ratna Brahma said. Kshut pipasadi grastah jati visheshvanaham samsari dijnanam karmani apekshitam. That kshut pipasadi grastoham. I am the one who is tormented by hunger and thirst and all man and apman and stuff like that. So there is a desire to become free from that. Jati visheshvanaham. I am a Brahmana, Kshatriya, etc. That also knowledge is necessary. Notion. Samsari iti. I am a samsari. Iti jnanam karmani apekshitam. Jnanam is this notion. Actually, is apekshitam, is called for performance of Vaidika karma also. Not tad viparita atma tattva jnanam, but atma tattva jnanam, which is totally opposed to this, is not expected in that karma. Anupayogat, because it is not required. One good thing or bad thing is that atma jnanam is not required for vyavahara. So atma jnanam is anupayogi. In fact, Atma Jnanam is not upayogi in the Vyavahara. Aham Brahma, that is not necessary for you to eat and drink and walk and talk, and that's the reason why the whole Vyavahara goes on without people even suspecting that I do not know what is to be known. Anupayogat. And in this particular instance, Pravrutti Bhadacha, the very Pravrutti also would be, there will be no initiative or motivation for the Pravrutti if this knowledge were there. Shastriya karmanopi adhyasajanyatvam nigamati upasamharati. So Bhashyakara here concludes how even the Shastriya karma also is born of adhyasa. Prachya tatha iti says there. Prachya tatha bhuta atma vijnanat pravartamanam shastram avidyavad vishayatvam na ativartate. So tatha bhuta atma vijnanat prak pravartamanam cha shastram. Shastra pravrutti is up to what point? Up to this point. Tatha bhuta atma vijnanat prak. What is tatha bhuta atma vijnanam? Ashnayadi atitoham. Brahma kshatra ape. So what is it? Apeta Brahma Kshatradi Bhedoham Asamsariyaham. That kind of knowledge, up to that point alone, the Shastra Pravrutti is there. So, Tatha Bhuta Atma Vijnanat Praksha Pravartamanam Shastram. Shastra has its Pravrutti with reference to a person until this kind of knowledge takes place in that person. And therefore, Avidya Vishayatvam Na Ativartate. And therefore, Shastra also is effective only in motivating a person who is ignorant. Shastra also will have no effect at all in a person who is wise, and therefore that Shastra also addresses itself to an ignorant person. Ignorant means one possessed of adhyasa. How do you say that? So tat adhyase agamam pramanayati. Now quotes here pramanam. How do you say that the Shastra also is... See, this is all blasphemy again of the Shastra. Are you trying to tell that the Shastra is addressing an ignorant person? The Karma Kandis will say, no, Shastra addresses everybody. Yavad jivam agnihotram juhuyat. As long as the person is alive, so long agnihotra must be performed. So that is equally applicable to a wise person also. Says, no. Kurvan nevehe karmani jiji vishe chatam samaha. Only the person who has jiji visha, the person who has desire to live, person who thinks that I am living in this body or I am this body, so that alone, he alone has to perform this action. And so that jijivisha, meaning desire to live, meaning an identification of the body, is called for, and then alone Shastra will have pravrutti. Even Shastra also addresses itself to a person who is ignorant. And that is evident from many statements of Shastra itself. And so Bhashyakara quotes here several statements of the Shastra to support this conclusion. Says Tathahiti. तथा हि ब्राह्मणो यजेत इत्यादीनि The cause of this coughing even I do not know, by the way. Shastrani Atmane Varnashrama Vayavasthadi Vishesha Adhyasamashritya Pravartante Tathahi Brahm. What is Shastram? Shastra is nothing but this collection of these statements. What are the statements? Brahmano yajeta. So may Brahman perform a particular action. So Brahmano yajeta. Ityadini. Brahman always begins, all Vivara begins from that. Ityadini. Beginning from there. Ityadini shastrani. So these shastrani. So these scriptures, Atmai. Now when it is said Brahmano yajeta, who will respond to that? Only the person who takes the self as Brahmana. The person who takes the self as Kshatriya, etc., will not respond to that. Only a person who has a notion, I am a Brahmana, will respond to that. That means this is addressed to a person who is notional, having notions. And then who will take the self as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Stri, Purusha, anything? Atmani, Varnashram, Vayovasthadi, Vishesha, Adhyasamashritya, Vartante, Pravartante. There is upon Atma so much adhyasa going Varna, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, etc. Ashrama, Brahmachari, Grahastoham, Vanaprastoham, etc. Avastha is what? I am a child, I am young, or I am old, or whatever it is. So all these different Visheshas, all these different attributes which really belong to the body, only when they are superimposed upon the Atma, that the person will entertain these notions, and then alone he will perform. He will respond to that instruction. Otherwise, he will not respond to the instruction also. Instruction also requires, response to an instruction requires what? A notion. So all the fellows attending the class, please come here. Now those who think that they attend the class, they will come there. Otherwise they will not come, And things of that sort. So, in order for any instruction to function, a notion on the part of the one who listens to the instruction, receives the instruction, is necessary. So the one who instructs knows that there are people having those notions. Otherwise instruction itself will not be effective. And so Shastra also knows that people have these notions about themselves, and therefore merrily they instruct them. And merrily people are motivated to do things. Ratnaprabha illustrates here how Varna Ashrama, in that krama, in that sequence, he illustrates. Yatha, tathahi. What is tatha? Yatha, tatha, yatha. Pratyaksha anumanartha pattayo adhyase pramanam tatha agamopi ityasaha. We showed here that pratyaksha, perceptively everyone knows that I am a pramata. And this ahamidam, mama idam iti naisargikaha loka vyavahara, this pratyaksha pramanam. Anumanam yatra yatra vyavaharaha tatra tatra adhyasaha. This is anumanam. Arthapattihi. What is it? That this indriya, mana, etc. are what? Acetanam. So acetana pravritti ayogat. Cetana adhisthatra mantarena acetana pravritti ayogat. So a cetana pramada is one that is presumed. That is the arthapatti pramanam. So all these pramanas are presented now. Agamopi pramana. Even the statements of the agama or the shastra also are evidence to show that that is adhyasa. That shastra also knows the fact of adhyasa. Brahmano yajeta. This is what? Varna. Brahman is what? Varna. And so there is adhyasa of varna or this color or the disposition of mind or whatever you call it. So varna means this the caste is there. I am a Brahmana. Then ashrama nahavai snatva bhiksheta, says Vedas. Snatva means having graduated. So having graduated, meaning having concluded the study at the Gurukula, then one enters the Grahastha ashrama. Snatva means having entered the Grahastha ashrama or having entered the house. Na bhiksheta, then one should not do the bhikshatanam. As long as this person was in the Gurukula, So long he was qualified to go do bhikshatan, because brahmacharis go out and take the bhiksha, receive the bhiksha. But the moment he leaves the Gurukula and goes home, from then on he should not do bhikshatan, because he is no more a brahmachari. He is now gruhe tishtati iti grihastha. Now he lives in a home, and that is called grihastha. So nahavai snatva bhiksheta. That shows what? The adhyasa of the ashrama. Now, so far I was a brahmachari, now I am a grihastha. Ashtavarsham brahmanam upanayita. When a brahmana boy attains the age of 8, then this upanayana must be given to him. That ceremony must be performed. So there is adhyasa. Ashtavarsham brahmana upanayita. Iti anena vayodhyasa varnadhyasascha pratipadyate. What is it? Ashtavarsham. So the person takes himself as Ashtavarsham, meaning adhyasa of the Vayaha, means age. Brahmanam, I am a Brahmana, that is adhyasa of the Varna. And so, there again, earlier Brahmana Udaharan was given, but anyway, Ashtavarsham Brahmana, the Ashtavarsham is important there. That is Vayodhyasa. I take myself to be of a certain age. Avastha, Krishna Kesho, Agnin, Adadhita. This Krishna Kesha, who is he? The person having Krishna Kesha. So Krishnaha Keshaha Yasya Saha Krishna Keshaha. One who has dark hair or black hair is called Krishna Keshaha. This is Bahuvri Samasa. So person, now what happens is, if there is a birth of a child, then if the father has still black hair, then Agnin Adatita, then he must perform a certain ritual. If it's an old man, etc., then perhaps he is released from that responsibility. But if a person becomes father, and if he still has black hair, then he is supposed to perform a certain ritual. Now therefore, this is avastha, that I am young. What is black hair means young? That I am young. So that kind of a identification or adhyasa also is there. And so, iti agamaha brahmanadi padehi adhikaranam varnadi abhimananam anuvadan adhyasam gamayati bhavaha. So adhyasam gamayati, even these statements of the agama, meaning the Vedas, also adhyasam gamayati. They also make us appreciate that even the Shastras also accept the adhyasa. Because brahmanadipadehi adhikaranam anuvadan. It is not that the Shastra says, may you take yourself to be Brahmana, or may you take yourself to be young. They don't say that. The person who takes himself to be Brahmana may do this. The one who takes himself to be young may do this. So Shastra does not impose the adhyasa. There is only reiteration of adhyasa. That people have this notion about the Vayaha, Avastha, etc. And Shastra reiterates that, and with reference to that gives these instructions. So it is not that Shastra brings about adhyasa, but Shastra accepts the fact of adhyasa. That people have this adhyasa, Shastra also reiterates that, takes that into account by giving instructions. So adhyasam is chetana achetanayoh aikyavabhasa rupam adhyasam ityartha. Chetana means atma, achetana means body. That aikya, tadatmya or identification, mutual identification of atma and anatma, that's adhyasam gamay. Then Ratnabhava continues. So this is the discussion of adhyasa with vyavahara as the linga. That vyavahara becomes very linga, the hetu or the evidence to show that there is adhyasa in everyone. Wherever pramana prameya vyavahara is. So that's it. Ahamidam mamedamiti naisargikoyam loka vyavahara. That time Vashakara merely made a statement. This loka vyavahara shows adhyasa. Then it is proven here. Now, this is pramanam. So showed how loka vyavahara necessarily must have adhyasa. And so where you find ahamidam mamaidam iti, then you know that adhyasa is there. Then Ratnabhava says, evam adhyase pramana siddhepi. So by pratyaksha, anumana, arthapatti, agama. By all of this, adhyasasya pramana siddhepi. That adhyasa is already established by pramanam, by this valid means of knowledge. Kasya kutra adhyasa iti jignasayam. Now please tell us again, now are you forgotten by now? So many days have gone by that this adhyasa, kasya kutra adhyasa. What do you mean by adhyasa? Please remind us again. Kasya kutra adhyasa. Where is the superimposition of what upon what? What is the definition of adhyasa again? Definition of adhyasa again. What is the superimposition of what upon what? Kasya kutra adhyasa iti jignasayam. Still the student may have jignasa. Sometimes when the time elapses, then you again, it's not that you repeat, but you remind. So it's not that you repeat something, but that you're reminding them that this is what, remember, this is what we said. Tam udahartum lakshanam smarayati. In order to again give the illustration to udahar. Now, Bhashyakara shows how adhyasa is there in our life. But before giving the udaharana or illustration of adhyasa in our day-to-day life, tad lakshanam smarayati. Adhyasa lakshanam smarayati. First of all, just reminds us of the lakshana of the adhyasa. What is the characteristic of adhyasa? Reminds us. And then to show that our vyavahara reveals adhyasa. Says Bhashyakara, adhyaso nama atasmin tad buddhihi ityavochama. Adhyaso nama, what is meant by it is known as adhyasa is what? Atasmin tad buddhihi. What is atasmin tad buddhihi? Go back to page 60. In the Purnanandya, because Ratna Prabha doesn't seem to explain it, Purnanandya explains that. In the last line of the second paragraph, atasmin tad buddhihi. Atasmin ayushmadarthe anidanchiti tad buddhihi yushmadartha ityartha. Atasmin, that which is not tasmin. I is a name in negating particle. Atasmin, that which is not tasmin, tad buddhihi. So that which it is not, that kind of buddhi. Mean what? So asarva bhutayam rajjau sarva buddhihi. Rajju which is not sarpa. So that which is not sarpa, upon that sarva buddhi is called adhyasa. And that which is not real, upon that real buddhi also is adhyasa. So reality of the rope is superimposed upon the snake, and that's how we take the snake as a real entity. So that is a superimposition of rope upon the snake, and of the snake upon the rope. Where in fact there is rope, we take that entity to be snake. This is also the adhyasa. And thus there is a mutual superimposition. Atasmin tad buddhihi. Atasmin is what? Ayushmadarthe. Ayushmadarthe. That is not yushmat. Yushmat is not you. Ayushmat means not that which is not you, meaning that which is I. Ayushmadarthe. Anidanchiti. Anidan, so that is anidam. Atma is not idam. So anidam and chiti tad buddhi. So atma is what? Anidam chiti. So ayushmadarthe anidan. Yeah, all right. So anidan chiti. So idam is taken as the whole thing there, So anidam chiti. Alright, because anidam means that which is not an object of idam. So that which doesn't become the idam pratyaya vishaya or idam pratyaya vishaya gocharaha. And so chit, which is anidam, which is not idam, and which is ayushmat. So chit or the consciousness which can never become the object of yushmat, meaning which can never be denoted by you, or which can never be denoted as idam. In that chit, tad buddhi yushmat arthabhasah. Upon the atma, anatma buddhi. Yushmat arthabhasah. Take that atma as possessed of the dharma of yushmat. Yushmat means the body or mind or intellect, which is what? Mortal. Take the atma as mortal, take the atma as ignorant, take the atma as dukhi, shows what? Superimposing the dharmas of yushmat or idam upon atma is ayushmat and idam. And of course vice versa. Upon the yushmat and idam, superimposing the dharma of the atma. upon the body, giving it the reality. Take it to be Atma. Take it as a source of the Ananda, etc. So this mutual adhyasa is atasmin tad buddhi. Here Purnananda explains, you can read it here, that this is not to be taken as a punarukti. It is merely smarayati, that Talakshanam smarayati. Okay. What was the Lakshanam earlier? It was said there. You can read it. The third line on the page 61. Smriti Rupaha Paratra Ityadina. So it was said earlier, Smriti Rupaha Paratra Puradrushta Bhasaha Adhyasaha. This was the definition of Adhyasa given. Then Anyasya Anya Dharma Bhasadam Na Vyabhicharati. Then Bhashyakara presented various definitions of Adhyasa as given by other people and said that in all these concepts of Adhyasa that people entertain, Anyasya Anya Dharma Bhasadam Na Vyabhicharati. All of them except Adhyasa is Anyasya Anya Dharma Avabhasadam. One thing appearing as another one, or superimposing the dharmas of one upon the other. That aspect is common in all the Adhyasa definitions. Iti antena bhashyena adhisthana aropya vivadevi. Even there was a vivada between different contenders as to what is the nature of adhishthanam and what is the nature of aropa. That vivada was there. Paratra parasya avhasarupa adhyasa lakshanam sarvasammatam iti parishkrutam. That everybody had sammati or agreement in this aspect, that paratra parasya avhasarupa. That paratra means where there is a total absence or non-existence of a given thing. So parasya avhasa. So appearance of a snake where the snake is totally non-existent. So this lakshana was sarvasammatam, accepted by everyone. Iti parishkrutam. So this was the parishkrutam, means this was the conclusion. Tena lakshanena lakshitasya adhyasasya. So this was the lakshanam then, which was acceptable to everyone. And what is it? Paratra parasya avhasaha. This much was an acceptable. So this is what we accepted as adhyasa lakshanam. Paratra paravabhasaha. Appearance of one thing where it is totally absent.